Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is the opposite of what your teachers, friends, or even those so-called study gurus online have been feeding you. You've been told your whole life that studying requires weeks of preparation, hours upon hours of grinding, and endless late-night sessions filled with coffee and stress. But here's the truth. All of that is nothing but a mental trap designed to keep you overwhelmed, overworked, and underconfident. The reality is, you don't need weeks. You don't even need days. If you know how to play the game correctly, you can walk into your exam after just one single day of preparation and perform at a level that makes others believe you've been preparing for months. Sounds insane? That's exactly why it works. Because nobody ever questions the rules of how we're supposed to study. They blindly follow the system, spending weeks on methods that barely scratch the surface. Meanwhile, you, if you actually apply what I'm about to reveal, will bypass all that wasted effort and focus only on the methods that trigger your brain into maximum absorption and recall within hours. This isn't just fast, it's so efficient that it feels almost illegal, like you've hacked the exam system itself. Now, let's address the obvious thought running through your head. Can I really learn everything in a single day? That doubt, right there, is your biggest enemy, and I'll tell you why. When you doubt, your brain wastes energy second-guessing instead of absorbing. When you hesitate, you scatter your attention instead of focusing like a laser. So the first thing you need to do is kill that hesitation. Replace it with belief. Belief is not a luxury, it's the foundation. If you go into this process thinking, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, you've already lost. But if you go into it thinking, I'm about to compress weeks of work into hours, and I'll pull it off because my brain is capable of more than I've ever allowed it to show me, then suddenly, your entire system obeys. Your brain stops resisting and starts performing. Think about it. Humans survived thousands of years not by reading textbooks, but by absorbing and recalling vital information in seconds, spotting danger, remembering hunting routes, passing down knowledge. Your brain is designed for speed. The school system just convinced you it isn't. But today, we're stripping that illusion away. Today, I'm giving you the method to activate what your brain was built to do. Learn, absorb, and recall with precision under time pressure. And here's the manipulative twist I want burned into your head. When you realize you can study effectively in just one day, you'll never look at exams the same way again. You'll see everyone else stressing weeks before, panicking over their notes, drowning in anxiety, while you'll be calm, collected, and armed with the exact system that makes results inevitable. This isn't just about passing your next exam, it's about rewiring the way you think about learning itself. Because once you experience this kind of control, you'll never go back. So here's the deal. For the next few minutes, I need your full attention. No distractions, no skipping ahead, no half-listening. Because what I'm about to lay out isn't tips or hacks. It's a complete mental reprogramming, step by step, of how to dominate your exam with the least amount of time and the maximum amount of power. If you absorb what I'm about to tell you, and if you actually follow it without questioning, you'll not only survive tomorrow's exam, you'll own it. You'll walk out of that hall not just with answers written, but with a kind of silent superiority, knowing you beat the entire system in a single day. And the best part? By the end of this video, you'll never again be afraid of not having enough time. Because you'll know, deep inside, that time bends when you know how to use it. One day can become 10. 1 hour can become 5. And an exam that used to terrify you will feel like a game you already won. So take a breath, lock in, and get ready. Because once I reveal this process to you, there's no going back. Step 1. Ruthless prioritization. The first rule of one-day studying is simple. You don't have time for everything. Most students fail because they try to revise every page, every chapter, every little detail, and their brain crashes under the weight. That's not smart, that's desperation. What you need is ruthless prioritization. Look at your syllabus or notes and ask yourself, what is most likely to appear on the exam? Because exams aren't random. They follow patterns, chapters repeated year after year, topics your teacher emphasized, sample papers, past exams. All of these are blueprints. If you try to swallow the whole book, you'll choke. But if you zoom in only on the 20% that controls 80% of the marks, suddenly your load shrinks to something manageable in just one day. And here's the manipulative twist. Once you focus only on those high-yield topics, your brain stops panicking. It goes from chaos to clarity, because now you're feeding it exactly what it needs to survive the exam battlefield. Remember this line: if it won't appear in the exam, it doesn't deserve your energy today. Ruthless, but that's why it works. Step 2. Active recall over passive reading. Here's another lie you've been fed: that reading equals learning. Wrong. Reading without testing yourself is just an illusion. It makes you feel productive, but in reality, you forget 80% within hours. On the last day before an exam, that's suicide. What actually works is active recall, forcing your brain to retrieve answers instead of just passively staring at the page. Every time you close the book and try to explain the concept in your own words, your brain fights to pull it out. That struggle, that friction, is exactly what wires the memory deeper. You're not just reading, you're engraving. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you just read, it's like looking at weights in the gym. But when you do active recall, it's like actually lifting them. That's what builds strength. So instead of wasting hours rereading the same paragraphs, ask yourself questions. Practice writing quick outlines, or cover the answers and force yourself to recall. It feels harder, yes, but that's why it works like magic. Step 3. Strategic breaks that trick the brain. Here's something almost nobody understands. Studying longer doesn't equal remembering more. Your brain has a breaking point, and if you keep pushing, it throws information straight into the trash. That's why so many students cram for 8 hours straight and still fail to remember half of it. Instead, use strategic breaks. Study in focused sprints, 40 to 50 minutes locked in with zero distractions, then give yourself a 10-minute break. But here's the manipulation. During the break, you don't scroll your phone, you don't watch random videos, you let your brain breathe in silence. Because in that pause, your mind is secretly processing and consolidating everything you just learned. It's like pushing save on a computer. Without breaks, nothing gets saved. This cycle, focus, break, repeat, is the weapon that makes one day of studying feel like 3. And when you return after a short pause, you'll be shocked at how much sharper, faster, and more confident you feel. Step 4. Summaries and cheat sheets for last-minute magic. By evening, your brain will already feel heavy. That's normal. But this is where most people panic and try to read everything all over again. Huge mistake. What you need at this point is compressed knowledge. Take every important formula, definition, or core point and shrink it into one-page summaries or cheat sheets. Don't copy entire paragraphs. Boil it down to keywords, acronyms, or short cues that trigger memory. This way, before sleeping and again right before the exam, you'll have lightning-fast material to revise. Think of it like preparing ammunition before going into war. You don't want to carry the entire arsenal, you just want the bullets that hit hardest. Those cheat sheets become your secret weapon. Small, sharp, and unforgettable. Step 5. Sleep as your hidden weapon. Now here's the most counterintuitive part. Most students destroy themselves by pulling all-nighters, thinking more time equals more marks. But the science and history says otherwise. When you sleep, your brain doesn't shut off. It reorganizes, replays, and strengthens everything you studied. In fact, half of your studying happens while you're asleep. If you skip sleep, you're basically throwing away half your effort. You'll walk into the exam with a foggy brain, forgetting things you actually knew. That's like training for months for a fight, and then walking into the ring half-conscious. You wouldn't do it. So treat sleep as non-negotiable. Even 6 to 7 hours of solid rest before the exam will multiply your recall speed, sharpen your focus, and make you appear effortlessly confident in the exam hall. That's why the smartest students don't study all night. They weaponize sleep as their final hack. Step 6. Morning revision, the illegal edge. When you wake up, you don't touch new material. That's another trap. The morning is not for learning, it's for locking in. You take your summaries and cheat sheets and run through them quickly, not to learn, but to remind your brain that this is what matters. That morning session acts like glue. It sticks everything together so that when you sit down for the exam, it flows out of you almost automatically. And here's the secret mindset. Don't go in trying to prove yourself. Go in with the belief that you've already won. That calm, that confidence makes your brain faster, sharper, and more reliable. Everyone else is nervous. Their hands are shaking. Their memory is failing. You'll be steady, focused, and dangerous. And that's the entire system. One day, ruthless prioritization, active recall, strategic breaks, cheat sheets, sleep, morning lock-in. 6 steps that bend time and make studying so fast, so effective, that it almost feels unfair, like you hacked the exam. So now you know the truth. One day is not your enemy, it's your secret weapon. While everyone else wastes weeks stressing, you've just learned how to compress time and make your brain perform like a machine. But here's the funny part. Don't go bragging to your friends about this, because if they start using it too, you'll lose your unfair advantage. Let them keep panicking with highlighters and sticky notes while you quietly dominate with this system. And now I want to hear from you. Which step hit you the hardest? Was it the ruthless prioritization, the cheat sheets, or maybe the fact that sleep is actually your hidden superpower? Drop it in the comments, because I guarantee someone else will read your answer and feel that same spark of realization. Remember, once you've done this once, you'll never look at exams the same way again. So comment below, lock this into your brain, and let's be honest, doesn't it almost feel illegal how easy this just became?